very interesting price action coming out of COSM today, realizing some of that upside move that we've been looking for from the past few days. Well, let's go ahead and find out what could happen for price action in the coming sessions. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a COSM technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this fine Tuesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, so we're looking at COSM on the 1 hour chart here, and we're going to start off the immediate short-term time frame analysis with the Crypstex ARC-Series indicators, okay, particularly to the ARC Armor, which is actually an indicator comprised of several exponential moving averages placed together very close in proximity so that we can be able to gauge this type of wave motion or directional waves, okay? So the directional waves are able to provide us with buy and sell signals, okay? So the buy and sell signals are represented by these long and short little tags that are coming up on the top of the candles, okay? So the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is because we do have a long signal still printed from the last trading session of 2022, and we still and it's been honoring it all the way up. Okay, so yesterday we actually did, I'm sorry, the last video that we printed for COSM, which was, before today's trading session, I was actually mentioning to everybody that we need to keep in mind that we're starting to print the very little essence of green here from these waves, starting to make that conversion to the upside, okay, or that new expansion phase from the exponential moving averages, okay. So now it's coming into fruition and being a lot more clear than ever before, okay. So now let's go ahead and just block the visibility for ARC Armor and load up the DBSI indicator. The DBSI indicator is actually a statistical indicator that takes the metric of every single candle printed throughout, throughout the entire trading history of the asset's particular time frame, in this case the hourly chart. Okay, so as you zoom out, you can actually see every candle being measured. Okay, so now the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because we did get a fresh buy signal on today, actually, so in the later part of the day. So that buy signal actually opened up just at about $4.84 before continuing on to the upside. Okay, so very good thing here. Another thing that DBSI does is that, I'm sorry, I didn't mention this, but the score of every candle measured, it actually gives us a strength value. So that strength value appears as a percentage right up here. So you can see that the bulls are leading the way with a 57% over the bears at 43%. Okay, another thing that DBSI does tend to focus in on is the 13-day exponential moving average. As long as we are above that 13-day moving average, we are in a bullish stance. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have. If you are interested in acquiring any of these indicators, I'm sorry, they actually are subscription based and they do come as a pack of 8 indicators. Okay, so please reach out to me via DM or email, and we'll go over the subscription packages. Another thing that you should notice is that the subscription packages particular to these indicators are nothing to do with the subscription packages that TradingView has to offer, as Crypstex are authorized retailers within the TradingView space. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have. All right, so yes, this is that key support area that I've mentioned, and this is literally the area where I told you I gained entry at an average between 476 and 438 or 436, landing me at about an average of about $4.61. I was very transparent about my entry here over the past few days of just sideways trading. Okay, so we still were implying some sideways trading even into today, but it looks like the price action or the sentiment has taken that into another direction. Okay, so please do notice that the gap, the tiny little gap here that we've been looking at since the wick high of November 21st and the wick low of November 22nd was in fact used today as a form of resistance and a form of support. You can see that we're touching right at the bottom of that support, of the support from the gap. So I tell you guys all the time to, sometimes I leave my gaps open for future play. And as you can see here, we came up to test down to test our other gap right to the T over here. Okay, so very interesting price action happening within COSM. And another amazing thing is that particularly to the daily chart, we have now recovered the outside of our broadening descending wedge, which is this formation right over here. Okay, so now please take a look where the price action is. I know that the 12-hour, closed just a little bit above this, which is also great. So that just means that we now have a support from our newly converted resistance into support for a continuation onto the upside. Okay, so now let's go ahead and touch on the really juicy parts, because I know a lot of people are curious about that 100.378% move to the upside that I've been calling. Okay, so let's go over the details within that. New viewers, this is volatility you're looking at, and it's represented by this indicator BBWP. Now, volatility is direction neutral. We pair it with an indicator that's actually proprietary to TradingView software called stochastic momentum. Pardon me. And this indicator is the reason we're going to be able to gain that bias for direction, since volatility is direction neutral. Another thing that we should point out here is that I did mention here the first iteration of this red bar that we got, which usually tells us that we're at critical volatility and something is very likely about to happen either to the upside or to the downside. Particular to the stochastic momentum, we actually noticed that we have been incredibly oversold now, and this is actually my implied path, and it looks like it's following it pretty accurately thus far. Okay, so what we do need for this criteria to continue and to be officially met is, in fact, for the momentum oscillator to be pivoted towards the upside with the moving averages, and or the volatility spectrum maintaining at critical, thus printing further critical bars. These bars print when there's a complete day of trading. I'm sorry, when there's a day of trading completed. Okay, so every single daily iteration would happen like this, as long as we do maintain ourselves at critical volatility. Okay, so this is what I was mentioning. Either we stay at critical and print these red bars, or we can start the contraction phase to the downside, or the third possibility was to just maintain within the critical volatility zone, which is within the 90 percentile. Okay, so either of those three variations alongside stochastic momentum pivoted towards the upside will essentially lead to that statistical metric being applied. So in this case, the statistical metric is a massive 100.378% to the upside. Now, that signal is about a day from being fired, or some very aggressive traders like me have taken the opportunity actually just a few days prior to that signal being fired. Okay, so if you are aggressive, that signal is potentially fired already. If you are going to be a little more conservative, then there is the potential that we can actually find that upside correction on momentum, thus allowing a better time for entry into the trade that would be a little less risky. Okay, so at this point, I'm actually not trading that big of a bankroll right now, so I can risk whatever is in the account so that I can practice and make a good move to the upside based on a small bankroll. Okay, you guys. So the upside accuracy on this that we've been reading is actually 82.857% based on 29 out of 35 iterations where volatility versus momentum have guessed the upside correctly, and that's usually at about a span of about 13 and a quarter days. Okay, so as of tomorrow, with positive price action and we start actually making that pivot towards the upside on momentum, that signal would essentially be fired off, and then that countdown would essentially start. Okay, so please remember that these are statistical variances. They are not certainties, and they are for sure not a guarantee, which is absolutely something that we must abide by in the markets themselves. Okay, nothing is guaranteed. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the last part of the analysis, which is actually the RSI. So in this case, we're going to be looking at the divergence. Okay, so divergence is the opposition of price action versus momentum. In this case, momentum represented by RSI, which is the relative strength index. Okay, we did mention on December 27th, Tuesday, that we have, oh, actually it was, so actually there was a there was a few drives of hidden bullish divergence and regular bullish divergence printed on the chart. Okay, so regular versus bullish is I'm sorry, regular versus hidden is this right over here. So this is the bullish side. Okay, so regular divergence happens when price action is making a series of lower lows and the momentum is making a series of higher lows. Okay, so hidden divergence is the opposite of this. Okay, just as long as it is at the underside of price action and the underside of momentum. Bearish, hidden, and regular are on top of the price action, on top of momentum. Okay, remember that. That's how you can be able to distinguish your divergences. Your drives, of course. So 12-hour time frame still suggesting some sideways trading, which is very confusing and very, very much annoying, which is something that I mentioned yesterday, okay, that if the only thing that's bullish about COSM is the data is telling us upside, the data is setting the stage. I actually did release a video a few days ago saying that COSM is setting the stage for the upside, and it has since realized that upside move, okay? So this has nothing to do with calls. This has nothing to do with call outs like that. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with crystal balls or being a prophet or anything like that. Nothing like that, you guys. So what I am doing is practicing mathematical models within the asset, okay, for our benefit, so that we can gain a better understanding as to what price action may do psychologically and statistically speaking, okay, in combination. So now let's go ahead and open up a multi-pane to gauge that true direction for tomorrow's session and the following sessions. Okay, you guys, I really appreciate all of you watching the video all the way to this point here. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and it will certainly help the algorithm to getting some more people up in the ARCa channel so that we can share some more of this fine knowledge. Okay, so now let's open up the diagram here that I've made for you guys, as it does depict, or it does show 4 zones that I would like for you to zone in on. Okay, so these 4 zones are located on the RSI here live on the chart, and I will be speaking about these very often. Okay, so immediate short-term time frame 30-minute RSI is suggesting a continuation to the upside. Okay, it is now sitting in the very, very grips of the bull strength percentile, and the moving average is below us, which is very good, suggesting now a pivot towards the upside. Very good stuff. Okay, so the buy hourly is suggesting sideways trading. Of course, we are getting a hint from the moving average that it is suggesting a slight upside. Very good. Another thing to notice here is that the 6 hour is still suggesting some sideways trading. Like I said before, as long as we do maintain ourselves within this shallow area of the zone, the likelihood of being pushed or gravitationally pulled into the next zone is likely, okay, or great. So now the daily time frame is something that we should look at here, as the pivot is now starting to change towards the upside. Yesterday's suggestion from the RSI was flat. Okay, so now you can see that the pivot is starting to move to the upside. Here it's a little bit of a precarious situation within this particular time frame, because we do have the 14-day moving average, which is represented by this pink line. You know, the RSI signal is purple, so we are approaching that 14-day moving average. It could be used as a form of resistance, but another thing is that 14-day moving average is sitting at that shallow area of the bear weakness percentile, which means that momentum moving towards the upside with buy pressure and then facing this gravitational pull into the next zone may actually succeed the 14-day simple moving average, which is looking very good. Okay, buy daily suggesting upside, 3-day suggesting upside, and the 5-day is now starting to correct into making an upside, but it's very weak. Okay, so there is the likelihood to where the entirety of the signals for COSM are starting to pivot towards the upside, but this is slowly but surely. Okay, please do notice that we actually used all 3 time frames here. I'm sorry, all 3 moving averages here, the simple moving averages, and let's go ahead and just point those out. Okay, so we used as a resistance the SMA 50, the SMA 100, and the SMA 10, particularly the SMA 10, right to the penny. And the SMA means simple moving average. Okay, you guys. So Yeah, if we were gonna imply a 100 spot 378% move to the upside based on the firing of the signal, which could potentially be tomorrow, let's just assume that the price action would actually lead that 100% move to the upside from the current position. So we can actually just take this box right over here and see that the 100 spot 378% move to the upside could lead to about $11, and it would be very much in confluence with this candle from December 19th, the wick high. Okay, so that the wick high looks like it was 1092. All right, so there is that potential as soon as the signal is fired and the conditions are immaculately set. Okay, so please know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I can't suggest for you to buy or sell any assets. Okay, you guys, I need you to do your own DD and everything will be just fine. Please don't fall for any of the WhatsApp comments down in the comments. There's a lot of ARCa imposters being formed as of late, and I need you guys to watch out for those scam artists. Okay, be smart. I'm not gonna release my phone number like that ever, and I will certainly not message you first. All right, you guys. But oh, and another thing is if you do feel compelled to reach out, don't hesitate to do so. The links will be included in the description below, so you can consider joining the ARCa trading community or joining me on Twitter and whatnot. Okay, you guys. But with that said, I wish you well. I wish you a very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.